Houston Texans defeat the Indianapolis Colts 26-23 in overtime. You're watching the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment. Hello and welcome to the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment. Houston Texans come back from 23-9 in the fourth quarter and win against the Indianapolis Colts 26-23. Wow, okay? So I basically just started, honestly, I was not watching this game. After the Colts were up 23-9, I said, okay, the Texans aren't coming back. They've shown no ability to come back. I'm going to go do some homework because I don't trust this Texans team to come back. So I look up and I see Lamar Miller. He runs for a touchdown. I think he caught a ball actually, and then he wivered and maneuvered his way for a touchdown. I said, hey, that's a nice play. Maybe they can come back, but I don't think they're going to be able to come back. They got the ball back. Osweiler led them down the field, and guess what? The game is tied 23-23. And still, I felt, you know what? I think Andrew Luck might lead the Colts down for a field goal at the end of regulation to win the game. Didn't happen. We go to overtime. Colts win the coin toss, get to receive. I say, I see the Colts probably getting a field goal here. Nope, didn't happen. The Colts lost all momentum. Every single shred, every single ounce of momentum that was in this game was absolutely lost. I mean, they weren't a complete disaster, you can argue, but this was pretty close. You can get to a 10 on the disaster scale. This was about an 8 or a 9. I mean, this was bad. You didn't have any pick sixes or any fumbles or any, crazy turnovers, but man, this is pretty bad, and you just can't lose games like this. Now, I'm happy because I had the Texans winning this game, and they proved me right, but this is not the fashion in which I thought it would be. And for both of these teams, I don't think you can leave this game quite happy. Let's start with the Houston Texans. So, Brock Osweiler, he saved this game, okay? He won this game for you. He did. He and CJ Fedorowicz and DeAndre Hopkins, they really started hitting it up in the second half, and they won the game. But, man, what a bad first half, man. What a bad first three quarters. Just not moving the football consistently, off the same page with his receivers, just not putting up points on the scoreboard, which is what you need to do as a quarterback of your football team, and not living up to his 4-year, $72 million deal that he received in the offseason that John Elway refused to give him, and many people ridiculed John Elway refusing him to give him that. But guess what? Maybe he was right. Maybe. We'll see. But ultimately, guess what? He pulled it together when he needed to most, and he won the game. So I'm not going to trash him too much, okay? He won the game. He only threw one interception, ended up throwing 2 touchdowns. So he gets a pass today. I still have the Texans winning the AFC South. I'm sure some Tennessee Titans fans disagree with that, but that's fine. Let them disagree with that. I think the Texans are the best team in this division, and they were proved to continue to be the best team in this division despite their issues. And they have issues, and they're going to win their fair share amount of games the rest of the season, but I still think they're the best in the AFC South. What a game for Lamar Miller. And I told you in my fantasy football starts and sits to start Lamar Miller. Hopefully you did, because the guy was absolutely fantastic today. 149 rushing yards, 1 touchdown, and also 1 touchdown receiving. If you have Lamar Miller in fantasy, you probably won this week. We move on to DeAndre Hopkins, who started out slow. He had 9 receptions, but some of these receptions were short. There were some missed passes, definitely. They weren't always on the same page, he and Brock Osweiler, but eventually he got going, and he helped them. He helped the Texans to victory. Lead them to victory. So he gets a pass as well. I would like to see more. We would all like to see more from DeAndre Hopkins at this point, but currently, come on, they won the game, so I'm not going to trash them again. I'm not going to trash them too much. The pass rush was there. Okay, now it was inconsistent. It wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, but when they needed sacks, I felt they got sacks, especially again in the second half when they came back. So I'm not going to trash them too much, because when they needed to most, they showed up. Let's go back to the Indianapolis Colts now. Now, again, Andrew Luck, I thought he played pretty well. Now, not great. He missed some throws. The offense wasn't, that smooth. They settled for a number of field goals today. That pretty much did them in. When you look at the scoreboard, 23-23. But again, I think Luck deserves a passing grade. And surprisingly, Frank Gore rushes for over 100 yards. What? I mean, this is a guy that never rushes for over 100 yards. Even during his time in San Francisco, he wouldn't do it often, but he did it today. I think his first time with the Colts that he's done such a thing. Maybe he did it once last year, but I can't remember for sure. So, you're surprised by that. T.Y. Hilton, as I feared, was pretty much shut down. I mean, he did end up with 49 receiving yards, which isn't bad. I mean, if you get 49 receiving yards every game throughout a season, you'll end up with about 750 yards, which isn't bad, but we expect a little more from him. But as I feared, when it's just him and Chester Rogers and Jack Doyle, they're going to put some pressure on T.Y. Hilton, and he didn't really live up to that, so that's a little unfortunate. Chester Rogers played pretty well, had some nice catches for the Colts today, so that was good for them. Defensively, they started out well. Vontae Davis led up some catches, but I thought he started out really well. Had the interception, was really confident and what have you, but again, they faded late, and I think some of that falls on him. And, ultimately looking at this game, and moving forward, the Colts, they have issues, man, and they're not horrible. They're going to win their fair share amount of games this year. I mean, I don't think anyone can doubt that, but they're just not good enough to win the division to me this year. Now, maybe the Texans have a losing streak coming up. I don't think so, looking at their upcoming schedule. I think it's pretty easy. Let me pull up their upcoming schedule. Now, next week, they go to Denver, and that's a big L to me. I'd be shocked if the Texans go to Denver and win. Although, the Broncos are stumbling right now, I just don't see the Texans going to Denver and winning that. Then after that, you host the Detroit Lions, who, yes, they're 3-3, but I'm not buying the Lions. You go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jags stink. And then you guys host the Oakland Raiders and then host the San Diego Chargers. You should probably go 2-2 in this stretch, maybe even 3-1. We'll see. If you guys go 1-3, then you guys have issues and you have problems, and you'll still be 500, but there will definitely be issues with this football team. But, the Texans, this is a team that I came on here after week 2 and I said, man, the Texans are good. They look real good, but I can't say that right now. They have their issues. They came back and they won great. But, man, this team has issues right now. Brock Osweiler and this offense, they're just not consistent. And, yes, one more thing, they did not have Will Fuller today. And, this is a guy that if they would have had him, they probably win this game a little easier, to be honest with you, because they probably wouldn't have been down. He really would have helped this team. Jalen Strong had a nice catch at the end of the game to set up the Nick Novak field goal. But, with Will Fuller, he's a better player than Jalen Strong. He's a better player than Braxton Miller. Braxton Miller is still not ready to me. So, with Will Fuller, this team probably does better. But I don't think that excuses their performance today offensively in the first half. So when it comes to the Indianapolis Colts, this is a team that can get on a run. They have that potential. Andrew Luck is playing well this season. He wasn't playing well last season. He's playing well this season. But in order for them to do so, they're going to have to string together some wins. And I think it's possible because I'm a Tennessee Titans fan, but I honestly believe next week you guys are going to Tennessee and you're beating the Tennessee Titans. The Titans have won 2 straight. I don't see that 2 straight becoming 3. The Colts own the Titans recently. Ever since they drafted Andrew Luck, they have not lost to the Tennessee Titans. I see that continuing as the Colts go to Tennessee and win. But if you don't, y'all are in trouble, okay? When it comes to, potentially making the playoffs, becoming a playoff contender, what have you, even though I don't see it happening, it's very much possible, but you need to win in Tennessee. You cannot start 2-4 to me, or 2-5, and end up making the playoffs. I just want to see it for your team, but we'll see what happens as the weeks progress. And finally, just one last look. Andrew Luck, he was actually only sacked 3 times today, but I felt the pressure was on a good amount. I saw the Texans players, Jadeveon Clowney, John Simon, Bernardrick McKinney, who had a huge sack. They all got pressure to me consistently, and I felt that disturbed some throws. So, overall, Texans win, but not really impressed by both of these teams. But again, celebrate your victory, Texans fans. And Colts, it's time to turn it on, or you will be falling behind quick. You cannot be 2 games behind the Tennessee Titans after next week, because that will be a disaster. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on the Sunday Night Football overtime game between the Indianapolis Colts and the Houston Texans. What are your words? Comment down below. I want to know. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, and most importantly, to subscribe. And until next time, this has been the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment, and I'm out. Peace.